Welcome to this week's episode of the Prep Athletics Podcast. I'm proud to have rejoining us Coach Steve Turner. Now, Steve is the new head of basketball operations and the head coach of the national team at Montverde Academy in Florida. Yes, that Montverde Academy, world famous, home of Cooper Flagg, Liam McNeely, Asa Newell, Derek Queen, and many, many others. And Steve has been at Gonzaga College High School in D.C. for 26 years prior to this move. And I coached with him from 2011, 2013 when I lived in D.C. and when I moved there and had a great experience with him and his wife. And Steve has multiple Gatorade National Players of the Year for D.C. He even won National Coach of the Year a few years back. Sent many guys to all levels of D1, guys that have played overseas, guys that have got a sniff in the league, and a family member. And this episode, we talk about, the choice to go from Gonzaga to Montverde, what college placement is like now versus 4.5 years ago when he was back on the podcast. His own son, Jared, transferred colleges since we last talked. We talk about that perspective from him as a parent, right, versus being an advisor as a coach. Blake Harper used to be a young little kid running around the gym at Gonzaga because Snoop, his father, was one of our assistants. And he went from, we talked about prep school for him before his senior year, and then he went to Howard, then he blew up, and now he's at Creighton. And we talk about his journey and so much more that makes this just a great conversation. And like I said, Steve really helped me in my basketball journey and helping prep athletics become what it came today. His son went to prep school himself, so he can speak on the benefits of it. And his wife, Leah, started becoming an acupuncturist when I moved to DC, and she needed someone to work on to get her hours in and her reps in. And I had very serious irritable bowel syndrome back then. It was crippling. I couldn't leave the house. It affected travel. I had to miss social events. And with working with Leah for a few years, my IBS is gone. And I credit it all to her and her healing hands and what she did for me. And so just can't speak highly enough of the Turner family. And this is a great podcast. We learn a lot. It's vital to listen to this because you can hear from a guy at the top of the game what's going on in the high school world right now, in the college recruiting world. And I think it's going to be a great listen for you guys. If you like this, be sure to subscribe on all the major podcasting platforms. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe there, and go to prepathletics.com, sign up for the newsletter, and we've got all the information you need on prepathletics.com. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about the prep school world. We get back to everybody that reaches out. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with the new Montverde coach, Steve Turner. Welcome to the Prep Athletics Podcast. This is Corey Heights.
Some battles. I'm not sure if they got us. If they did, maybe.
So you will get better as a player during that year.
So it was kind of exciting. Like, oh yeah, somebody wants me.
Steve, welcome back to the podcast.
Coach, thanks for having me back.
Yeah. We've been in each other's lives for quite a while here, and you've made a big change in the past few months, leaving Gonzaga College High School in Washington, D.C., and now taking over the program at Montverde Academy down in Florida. Tell me, what was the catalyst for the move?
It's kind of crazy. I'll be honest with you, I never thought I would leave Gonzaga. And an opportunity at the end of the year came my way, and once I was able to come down here and touch all that it is, it made me have to really, really think about what was the next direction for me in my life, for my family, and opportunity to be able to be in another place to continue to impact lives. Played heavy in it. I'd say the piece that probably played most heavy in it was the fact that Montverde is a real school. Like, I was able to come to another place that represented the values that I have in being a coach and all that I think it is for a student to be a student athlete. And all those things were aligned and matched up. And I think God called me into taking on an opportunity to go to somewhere else that represented and fulfills the values that I have as a man working with young men. And they aligned perfectly, and here I am.
Nice. What are you most excited about?
the opportunity to do what I preach every single day, um, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. I was at Gonzaga for 26 years. I've been in the DMV as a coach for 28 plus, and I had to do something and make a choice to do something that is very similar that I preach every single day, and certainly have preached every single day as a head coach to my players. And that's, hey, get comfortable being uncomfortable. This is totally different. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different way of how I'm having to recruit, how I coach, um, how we travel, all the different things that go with it. But the one thing that remained the same was being able to have students who are in a school where they're going to school every single day, and then basketball is another part to their life. So those things were still on the line, which I think have helped in this transition.
Yeah. What's been most challenging so far in these first few months?
Um, Making sure that I'm trying to bring in the right pieces. You know, when I got the job and was announced as the head coach, Corey, I could have put together 2 top 10 teams in the country based on names, not based on whether the teams fit and were that good together, but based on names, the calls that I got, whether it be domestic or international, I could have put together easily 2 top 10 teams in the country. And so I still am approaching it no different than I did at Gonzaga, with trying to find the right pieces that mesh with who we are at Montverde.
All right, you talk about that. So I've heard this before, talking to other guys like Steve Smith and Mike Peck, guys that have these top 10 programs that are just fielding, players from all over the country or world that are very high talented. Obviously, like you just said, could make 2 top 10 teams. What's going to be your process? Like for those players out there that are top 100 on their national teams, wherever it might be in the world, like tell them what you're looking for in a player at Montverde under your system.
I think it's no different than it's ever been for any of the coaches players that I've ever coached, whether it be through AAU, whether it be during my time at Pilati, my time at the Newport School, and certainly my time at Gonzaga, is that I'm trying to find guys who want to be coached, are willing to give of themselves to be a part of something bigger than them, but it gives them an opportunity to go chase the things that they're chasing in terms of playing college basketball at the highest level, and certainly beyond. I want guys who are we guys, not just me guys, because when you're playing at this level, you got to have guys who are willing to sacrifice a little bit of maybe who they believe they are for the benefit of the team. But if they understand that if the team does what it's supposed to do, the things that they want in the end are going to come anyway. So I want guys who are dedicated to being hard workers, who are willing to learn, who are willing to play with others, and who are willing to chase something together with a brotherhood that's bigger than them and that they get to be a part of and make it great.
Yeah, love that. Now, you had to build out a coaching staff, and you did that with some guys that have played for you or been on your staff previously. Tell us how you put together your staff and who you've got on it.
Well, when I interviewed here, the first person that I went after to hire was a gentleman who was already here, in Joe Katuka. Joe is, I like to call him Mr. Montverde. Joe played here. He was a part of when basketball became something, the start of basketball being special here at Montverde. He played under Kevin Sutton, who's a longtime friend of mine. And so when myself and Leah were here and went through the interview process, Joe was a piece of that puzzle. And I just felt like our vibe hit off really quick. Like we had already known each other. It was like we had either known each other from another time or God just put us together because it was meant to be. And I just felt like if I was taking this job, Joe was the one guy that I had to have. And I felt like I did my best to make that clear to him. And hence he stayed and is a part of my staff. And he was my first hire. And then I felt like from then on, it was about relationships. I mean, I got resumes galore of people who were trying to come on. And, you heard from different people who were in the know in the basketball world. Well, hey, who's going to be your heavy hitters in terms of your recruiting? Who is this guy you're bringing? I've always known myself to be my heavy hitter. Like I didn't always just have to rely on the guys who were on my staff to go get players. They had to be a part of that puzzle. I couldn't do it by myself, but I wasn't afraid of not going after this person that somebody else thought, hey, he's the guy you got to get because he's going to get you players. I'm a believer in relationships. And I knew with this first staff, I needed to have people around me that I trust and I know well and that knew me well. Because this is a first year, and when you don't get a second chance at a first year. And so for me, it was important to being able to be around and surrounded by people that I felt I could trust, that some of those who know me, some of those who can bring some other things to the table that are different than who I am and what I've been about. I wanted there to be a mix. So the next piece to the puzzle, I felt like there was no no-brainer in that I'm bringing my oldest son, who's been coaching with me the last couple of years at Gonzaga, to be a part of this. This is something he wanted because I know what he's trying to get to too. And I think the platform that we have here will allow him to learn and grow underneath me and the other coaches on the staff to help him go after something that he'd like to go after eventually, and sitting in the same type of seat as me as a head coach. Then it was, all right, who are the guys that from my staff at Gonzaga that could be here? I went after one and I got turned down, unfortunately. Lape Oriola. And Lop, I think, was going to come. I felt like he maybe got some cold feet, and he had some things in his life that he still feel like needed to happen for him there in the DMV. And unfortunately, I didn't get him to come. But we have a program here called the CBD, and that program is the Center for Basketball Development. And we decided to change a little bit of how that program was structured and run. And being able to, it's funny because the person that I thought would be a great fit for that could also be an assistant with me, was the same person that other people who were talking to our head of schools was talking about at the same time. And we didn't know we were all talking about this same person at the same time. And that's Austin Kelly, who was a part of my staff at Gonzaga at one point. Austin's also been a director for the hoop group, and has been a college assistant coach from the Dobo position to be an assistant on the bench at places like GW and Niagara up in Niagara Falls. And so Austin became the director and also is now one of my assistants. And then a young man who played for me, Bradley Jacks. Bradley's been a college assistant coach for a few years here now. And he actually went after the job at Gonzaga. We talked about it. I kind of talked to him about my thoughts for him as a person going after that job. And then when I didn't get Lop, I was like, whoa. And Brad said to me, hey, if I don't get the Gonzaga job, Coach, I'd be interested if you'd be interested in me. And that became a no-brainer. Brad's work ethic, the things that I know about him as a student athlete. He's played it at a high level Division III basketball. He's played it at the WCAC, high level high school basketball, won a national championship and was a major contributor to a team that won a national championship. And then the work I've seen him do from afar as a proud, I'll say proud pop, because I treat all my former players like they're my sons. Watching what he's been able to do with young men at the college level and how he's helped them grow in the game. I just felt like he was a natural fit to come here and be a part of my staff. And I thank God that he said yes.
Yeah, that's great. No, I used to coach Brad every day in practice and big man drills, and Austin and I were at Gonzaga together. So you got a great, and Christian, obviously I remember him. So great crew.
Well, you see Brad bringing some of your drills to the table. So I love it.
That's awesome. Now break this down for people that don't know. So you're going to be coaching the Montverde National Team, right?
Correct.
And you've got the CBD. For those that don't know, like who's going to be on your team, who's going to be on other teams, and like what kids should look at this opportunity globally?
Well, I think the national team gives you an opportunity to be a part of what's now going to be the best high school league in the country, the EYBL Scholastic. It's a 20-team league of schools that are all represented and part of the Nike brand. And they will be separated by East and a West, 10 teams on each. We've found out now that 12 of our teams will make it to the end of the year tournament. So you gotta compete like college. Like this is, I say it, I've stepped into a college job at the high school level. The way that we get to recruit, the way that we, go about our business in terms of our play. I mean, our league schedule is similar to the Ivy Leagues, where you get the back-to-backs every week on the weekends, and the preparation that you have to have to get prepared for some really, really good coaching and talent of players is going to be similar to what our guys are striving to go to after they leave us, and that's college basketball. So we've got to treat it that way. Our CBD program is an opportunity to come here and be developed in a different way than a traditional high school has it. We've got 3 other high school teams. We have 3 more JV teams. We have a freshman team as well as a middle school team. So there's 8 other opportunities where you can get involved, and our coaches are all involved, and we have head coaches for each one of those other teams. And you're going to get basketball training year round through both programs. So an opportunity to grow in this game and have opportunity to be seen. It's at the highest level.
I love it. Now, when people say Montverde's not that academic, that's just the stereotype out there. What do you say to that?
Do your homework. I had to do mine. I can be honest. I didn't know all of what Montverde was before I got to come here and touch the campus. The school has been here since 1912. It was a school before it was ever basketball. That has not changed, and actually has only grown and gotten better and better. You're talking 4 guys in that draft this past year. Guys like Cooper Flagg, Liam McNeely, in AP courses, not online, not sitting behind a computer in the classroom being taught by teachers daily. Asa Newell, I think, is maybe the finest and greatest example. Asa walked out of here with an associate's degree from college. Asa was taking AP courses daily, dually enrolled in college, taking classes online, and I think he even had to go in for some classes and walked out of Montverde from high school, walked out with his associate's degree halfway through college. He'll probably be the first young man that's an NBA player to get his degree the fastest, because he's had a year at Georgia under his belt. So that's 3 years of college already done. He probably takes the next 2 summers and can wrap up and have his undergrad degree in his belt before having 3 years in the NBA. If that doesn't tell you what a student athlete is like at Montverde, I don't know what else will.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That cleared me up, because I wasn't aware. So that's good to know. Now, let's go back to you building out your national team. How much is it going to be you being proactive versus you just being reactive and seeing who comes in?
Well, I mean, I think this year was a combination. And I think it'll always be a combination, because I think this is a place that it will always be sought after for young men and families to want their kids to go to. Certainly as they get to know and understand that this place is still a regular high school with a lot of the same traditions as maybe the high schools they were at, and public schools or private schools where they're coming from. We still have prom. We still have homecomings. We still have different things that it would be associated with a traditional high school. And so for me, it's always going to be fitting the pieces to the puzzle. Now we have a puzzle that's put together, 13 young men on the national team. We know that 6 of those are going to graduate, and we know the way that the landscape is going, kids could transfer out. So for me now, seeing the pieces that I've put together, getting a year under our belt of what that really looks like in terms of talent at certain positions, that's what's going to help me understand how to go after, and also how to be receptive to those who want to call and say that they want to come here, that can fit pieces to our puzzle to make Montverde be the best team it can be, and be a team that can continue to chase national championships.
I love that. I'm a top 50 player in this scenario, and I'm looking at you, OTE, IMG, other Scholastic EYBLs. Why pick Montverde? Give me your pitch to me as a top 50 player that you want.
Your ability to be coached by unbelievable coaches who are here that want nothing more for you than to give you an opportunity to be a part of a platform that's going to have you help chase the things that you're chasing. The other piece is the ball could stop bouncing at any given time. You want to be at a place where the academic piece is going to matter to help you be able to continue to grow in that phase, because we know this. Every kid is not making it to the NBA. You want to have people who care about you that are going to put you in position to be the best student athlete you can be.
Gotcha. So, but the way things are today with top 50 players, like, are academics as important anymore, Steve, as they used to be?
Well, every top 50 player is not going to the NBA, so it better be.
Okay.
I think that we got to continue to educate our families and understanding that there's nothing wrong with being afraid to chase your dreams and go after them, but that's not always a guarantee. So what is your kid going to land on if he doesn't make it to that level that he's dreaming about? Because that's not a guarantee. And we know that every pro, if we don't start getting things better here in the U.S. in terms of the development, those seats are being taken from kids from, and forget just kids, from men from abroad. And so you want to be able to make sure that you're in a place where your kid's going to develop the best that he can. I think if you do your check my resume and check the men that I have surrounded by our young men's resumes in terms of what they've been able to do and who they've been around and where the kids that they've coached are going, this will definitely be a place that you want your kid to be able to be at.
Gotcha. Do top players now need agents in high school?
I don't think so.
Are you going to have to deal with agents in your new position?
Already am.
And how does that make you feel?
Okay,
maybe we don't want to put that out online, but point is, like, do you suggest does a high-end player need an agent in today's day and age if they're looking at national high schools?
I don't think at high school.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that they shouldn't, but I don't think they do. I think if you're chasing the money piece to this, what has stopped parents from talking for themselves?
I think they just don't know the landscape, and they would put it in the hands of someone they think has more IP on the topic.
I just think in the landscape, there's still a lot to be learned, because I don't think that everybody's getting all the information that they need. As I've had to go through this process, I'm seeing that. And I think there's so many different, like, I'll give you a simple layer, is that every state has different laws. So just because Billy in California will do this for you and your family doesn't mean that Coach Turner in Florida can. So I think there's a lot of education that still needs to be done in this space by everybody. I'm talking from agents to coaches to the families to the kids to anyone who's involved. The runner, the trainer who's talking for a family. Like, there's still a lot of pieces and layers to this that I think haven't been discussed and that people don't know. Like, I don't think you can assume to know what you don't know without figuring out who are the right people to educate you and give you the answers to the test, so you best can make decisions on what is the right thing to do for your child in terms of either having an agent or not having an agent, having someone to deal with collective, having someone to deal with NIL. Like, there's so many things that if you're not educating yourself, I think there's some families who are getting duped in this whole thing in a lot of ways, to be honest with you. And again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have them, but I think you got to do your homework a lot deeper and make sure you're talking to folks who can give you all the answers you need to make sound decisions for your children, men or women. That would be where I'm at. It's in the space. It's something we're all gonna have to deal with. Pandora's box has been open. It's not going away it's not going away anywhere soon. But I think there has to be more education on what should and shouldn't happen.
With the high-level players you've had, with your son being in college, and we'll talk about him in a second, transferring, like, do you feel you're well-versed enough to guide families on choosing a school and incorporating all the NIL that's surrounding it nowadays?
Yeah, I do. I do. I study it. I talk to a lot of people about it. I'm educating myself so that I can educate the people that are entrusting themselves in me with their children. I want to be able to have the answers to the test for them so that they're not having to fight and figure this all out by themselves. And I think there needs to be more people who are doing that so that people can be rightfully informed.
Gotcha. Now your son transferred from Northeastern to Old Dominion, and you've been helping players in the past as their former coach do that. And now it's actually coming to your household. So what did you learn through that process that maybe you didn't know by not being on the parent side of things?
Be patient, ask questions, research, do your homework, not make hasty decisions. I'm in the field, and as it pertained to my child, I knew I had to make sure I was making informed and sound decisions for the best for him. And this wasn't about me. I mean, if it was my world, I would have never wanted to see my son transfer. I never dreamed that I would have to be in that space. I hated seeing it from my other children that I call my children who played for me that I've had to see do that. I've always said I want to see young men and women fight from a position of dealing with adversity and being able to understand that we don't run from stuff. We try to grab the bull by the horns and fight through it. But there's other things that come into play. And the biggest piece is something that I'm a big advocate of now, mental health.
Mm-hmm.
We see it now, and I feel like it's a blessing that we have pros who are talking about their experiences with mental health versus holding it back and not letting it be out there. That's more important to me than anything. My son could have stopped, could have told me today, I'm done, Dad. I'm not playing basketball, and I wouldn't be upset. If it was to jeopardize his mental health, I'd rather see him not play. And so for me, it was more, let me make sure my son is in the right space where he needs to be to do what he's enjoying and loving. And it wasn't all about wins and losses and playing time. My son was a 1%er in the transfer portal. He didn't make a decision about playing time, and he didn't make a decision about money. He was at a school that didn't even deal with NIL. So he was a guy who was playing as a freshman almost 20 minutes a game. So it was more some things that were going on with him that he needed to be in a different place. And I'm not at liberty to put that all out there. But I need to make it clear, like there's different people who are in the transfer portal. Most of the kids we see in the transfer portal are running from something, or they're chasing something, which is usually money. This wasn't the case for him. And I think him being able to have a gap year where he could get himself into the mental space he needed to be in, I'm seeing it pay dividends. So I think you have to be careful as a family to look at what you're doing this for and why you're making choices for. Is it about money? Is it about playing? Or is it truly about making the thing be the main thing? Most of you will say, this is about putting my son in position because he wants to chase an NBA dream. Well, then sometimes to get to an NBA dream, we have to go through adversity. So jumping the gun and just jump into what's next isn't always the best thing. We're seeing it. Like, do your homework. There are names that were the big names coming out of 8th grade that were supposed to be the next world stars who've been to 4 and 5 schools now and aren't going to make it to the NBA. So are we going to make decisions that jeopardize those opportunities, or we're going to figure out as a family and who that small group of people are that you're surrounding your kid with to make sound decisions for what he's really chasing, or are we going to let other things derail us?
Yeah, absolutely. And you being around, high school boys for the past 5 years since COVID, I've seen it with my clients. You've probably seen it in all the activities you do. Like, there has been a mental health shift. What do you think's caused that? Was it the time away from peers and the masks and online learning? Is it the phone still? Is it pressure from outside sources?
Corey, I think it's everything that you just mentioned, but I think it's a bigger thing. It's always been there. It's just finally now really being talked about. And I think it's finally being more talked about because the guys like a Kevin Love who was one of the first ones who I think really went out there and put himself out there on a limb and said, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And now we're seeing more and more of the pro athletes and the kids in college say, hey, I've had some things going on, and I'm not afraid to go get help, and I'm not afraid to go talk to someone that can help me stay in the space that I really want to be in. And I think we just didn't know better because our kids weren't saying things to us and having those conversations. They probably were talking to other people, but it wasn't being put on our table. And now that we're seeing those that we look up to and that they look up to are open enough to speak about it, I think now you're having a lot more conversations that have been needing to be had way pre-COVID and probably for years and years even before. Shoot, I was a man.
Yeah. Now, tell me this. This is something I think does not get discussed, but there are thousands of kids who put their name in the transfer portal, and at the end of the day, they don't get picked up, and their career is over. Do you know any kids that have done that? Not that you need to name names, but do you know kids that have done that, A? And B, what gives people the right to give that kind of advice to leave? And you know, you and I know what's going on, and we're still learning every day. You know 10 times as much as I do. You're still learning every day, and you're very cautious on giving advice. But these thousands of kids in the transfer portal aren't doing it on their own. They're hearing from somebody in their trusted circle. And with thousands of kids every year just having their career end, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think we keep forgetting that basketball, I'm just going to speak to my space. Basketball is a we sport. It's not a me sport. So there's as a coach, I got 13 kids just on my team that I've got to figure out playing time for, making sure that it's the right place for them to be. And then, you know, you look at our school with the CBD program, that's 8 more teams times 13, 15. Like that, we're trying to figure out what is right for them. And I think, I'm be honest, I think NIL and transfer portal was all put in place to derail a lot of people. I'm just as I'm looking at the landscape. I think it's a bigger story to this than people are willing to talk about. I mean, when you talk about guys staying in the portal and never getting out, well, what's the one thing that's being taken away that we all said we're doing the sport for? To get a degree. Now look at how many, and I'm going to be, Corey, we're boys, so I can be brutally honest. I look at my own race. How many young black men and women are now going to not get their degree when basketball or any other sport was certainly an opportunity for them maybe to be the first in their family to get their degree. Now we have this transfer portal that says, okay, when something isn't right for you and you're not happy, go run. Now we send them to a place to run, and they don't even get a chance to get out. I look at some of what's the biggest pandemic in the black community is fatherless homes. Now we're teaching young men to run every time adversity hits. That's part of why we have a lot of fatherless homes in the black community, is that when things aren't going right in the family, dad jumps up and leaves. I don't want to see that for people at any race or color, but I'm just telling you that's a big pandemic in the black community. And I feel like some of this has been put in place to continue to derail those things. You know, you put the money piece in front of it. What's been the one thing that gets people in trouble? Chasing quick money. I look at some of the money that's being thrown at kids at a high school level. It's quick money. It's not life-changing money.
Right.
You start seeing some of that if you're a 1%er at the college level now, but there's not that kind of money for life-changing at the high school level. Maybe it's coming. I don't know. But let's be honest. Who right now in the next couple classes is Cooper Flagg or AJ DeBonsa or Darren Peterson or Cameron Boozer? Can we say that there's those 1%ers in the next couple classes? I think it's still to be determined. So if you're not those guys, some of which didn't get money in high school, and look what they were able to do, taking advantage of a platform and taking advantage of institutions where they got their degrees and got to be showcased in front of the right people, and now they're at the spot that they want. I think we got to continue to make the main thing before chasing what's quick and fast and allowing ourselves to be derailed and put into situations where now we're in a transfer portal and we don't get out. And now I don't get money or I don't get a degree.
Right. Good stuff. Let's talk about another transfer, Blake Harper. So Blake Harper was in your program. In fact, I remember Blake at Gonzaga when he was a young man, like in junior high or elementary school, and I was there. And I talked to his father, Byron, at the beginning of his senior year about helping him with prep school because he's probably going to need a post-grad year. And then he does pretty well at Gonzaga, picks up an offer at Howard, and then has an amazing freshman season. In fact, his first game in a Howard uniform at Kansas, scores 30, does so good. It's even a Sports Illustrated article on him, like fielding offers, the Howard coaching staff knowing it. And then he gets in the portal after the season ends and gets a pretty good payday going to a pretty good school in Creighton, right? So explain to me that situation, because we just talked about the kids that go in the portal and their career's over. Now we're talking about a young man who within like 15 months, his life completely changed. Add in a few months prior to that, tragically, his mother passed away, Linda, friend of both of ours. So explain that process and what happened with Blake specifically.
I mean, I'll go to the beginning for Blake. I mean, I know Blake since he came out the womb.
Right.
But, high school-wise, what happened for him in college that summer, we were waiting for it to happen for 4 years at Gonzaga. One, we all knew Blake had the fortitude and aptitude in terms of being a basketball player, understanding how to play the right way, having a skill set that allowed him to do different things. For Blake, it was about his body not allowing him to do different things. He wasn't in the best shape of his life. He hadn't had that growth spurt that we were all expecting from him. And unfortunately for Blake, but I think also that also catapulted, he had a major tragedy in his life that made him have a why. And I know every day Blake does what he does because he wants to continue to show his mom his greatness and what she was able to allow him to grow into being. And then he was blessed with being able to have an opportunity where, as a freshman, he was pushed into being, if not the guy, one of the guys. Howard had a couple injuries last year, that also pushed Blake into a position where he was needed even more than maybe they expected his freshman year. But then Blake does the things that we ask kids to do. Let adversity hit and fight. God gave him some things, hits puberty, has the growth spurt, gets in his best shape. He pushes himself, become the best version of himself he can be. And then he's blessed in a situation with a guy like Coach Blakeney. And I got to give a lot of credit to another one of his brothers from Gonzaga and Coach Tyler Thornton, who's an assistant coach there, that bet on him and said, hey, we're going to push you to your breaking point so that you can be the best you can be. And Blake could have broke and said, nah, this ain't for me. What Blake said was, I want this. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to allow you guys to push me to be the best version of myself. And then it happened. And then he showed them that he could be counted on as a go-to guy. And so here's a kid that could have, easily decided this ain't for me. I don't need all this. He decided, I'm going to show the world who I know I can be and who I am. And then other opportunities come. It's like being on a job, regular job. I work at UPS and I show them how good of a worker I am. And next thing you know, they're asking me to be a manager or a supervisor. Well, Blake has afforded himself that opportunity by having a stellar year as a freshman at Howard and showing the world who he can be against the competition in his own conference. And as you said, off the break, against the preseason #1 team in the country, and then having an ability to have himself earn someone's trust. See, that's the part I think we forget about. We all think this should just be given, given, given. What about earning the trust so that the person who's the head of the ship can say, you know what, I can give you more because I trust you and you're showing me that you can handle and take on more. And now doors start opening, and a lot of doors open for Blake. And then, unfortunate for Howard, they lose him, but fortunate for Blake, he took the platform that was in front of him, showcased himself, and has given himself an opportunity to now try to go showcase himself again at a higher platform. That's what I've always thought work was about. That he's a great example of what I believe work is all about, and taking advantage of an opportunity and pushing yourself to be the best version of yourself, and then doors open up for you. And that's what happened
Yeah.
for Blake.
Yeah, I'm so happy for him and his dad, and just I'm excited to see him play in the Big East this year.
I know.
And but pressure's on now. Like, there was no pressure last year. Now we're
No,
going to see how he handles that, because he wasn't that guy at Gonzaga. He didn't have that pressure on him at Howard until the end of the season. But now, Big East, it's going to be another thing to see how adversity works with Blake, right?
I'm excited to watch it, and I think he's built for it. I think he's had to go through this all his life. I mean,
Yeah.
watching him even as a youth, I mean, his dad pushed him to the limits, and his dad put him around guys who would help him grow in the game. Coach Hill coaching him through his AAU years, his ability to play for takeover and have to be a guy fighting from behind. Blake's a winner, and he's proven himself to be a winner. And even if it doesn't go the way that people are expecting or wanting to, he's earned his opportunity to be in the space that he's in now. And now he's just got to keep fighting, as he's been fighting, to get himself to what's next.
Hey, and if he keeps progressing, now we're talking potential NBA, right?
No doubt.
So
I mean, those guys have
sky's the
called,
limit.
so he's on their radar. So he's put himself in a position to be seen and have that opportunity be afforded to him at some point in his life, if he can continue to grow and get better.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We talked last in 2021 about college placement, and it's one of the most viewed videos we've had in our platform is you talking about how to get recruited in college. In these past 4 years, how have you seen college placement from your end change?
Heavily.
And how
Because
so? Tell families that are out there with high schoolers now, like, what they need to know about 2025 and 26, like the landscape.
I think the first thing is, as a family, you need to be prepared for for maybe not getting to the level that you presume your child should be at. And that's not any fault of your child. Understand that clearly. But the landscape has changed at the college level, and that the coaches have contracts that they want to continue to keep so they can feed the mouths of their family. And to do that, because of the way the transfer portal is opened up, those guys are now chasing men, or they're chasing the kids who are in the top 10%. Some of those guys that maybe used to be in the top 50% won't be high major players as they were before. And some of them are better than some of the kids who 10 to 15 years ago that were getting to that level may not get to that level. It's really going to be important for you to do your due diligence, or the people that you have surrounding you and helping you in these processes do their due diligence, because the high school kid is not the first choice for a lot of these college basketball programs now. They want men. They want to be older. They want to be more mature. They want to have guys who've had experiences that a high school kid just doesn't get because they hadn't played college basketball yet. So you have to understand that you may think your child is Carolina worthy, but he may only be American University worthy. And that's not a fault to him or to what he is as a basketball player. It's just the landscape that we're in now. And so you got to be prepared to help your child fall down and get back up, is what I will call it. And that, you continue to shoot for the moon, but you should be able to have that opportunity to land among the stars. And know that, let's use Blake Harper. We just talked about it. I know what Blake was dreaming for coming out of high school. Those things didn't come knocking on his door, but he took advantage of an opportunity to where he could go, and now he's played his way up. So you shouldn't be afraid of having that opportunity if you truly are willing to bet on yourself or bet on your child, and for that matter, to allow him to go to a place where he can shine early and then still have the opportunity to move up, because that can happen. So don't knock that he, Billy on his AAU team is going to Carolina, and you thought he should be going to that same level. And then now he's going maybe a level, maybe even 2 levels down, to have to fight to go back up. because it's possible. I mean, look at and it's possible without doing a whole lot. I mean, I'm seeing kids leave from mid majors and low majors scoring 8 points and becoming starters on top 25 teams in the country. The coaches are able to look at the analytics. They're able to watch film. They're able to see what your kid's doing. They're able to see your kid play against them in those money games for certain schools, and they're evaluating. And those schools are going to be able to come and have folks connect you to them moving up. It's all got to be about keeping the main thing. Keep being a guy that's wanting to get better, a guy that stays in the gym working on his game and allowing people to see it. So I would just, my message to the parents and the families and the players, don't be afraid of having to take an opportunity to play yourself up to what you want, because sometimes now you can't skip processes. You can't skip the steps. There are going to be different steps than there were in the past, but the steps they're a lot greater than you think. So don't allow that to be something that derails you or gets you down, that maybe you have to play one level down to get to the level you really want to get to.
Yeah, that's the new way of doing things these days. So I'm glad you personified that. Is there any honor left in college basketball?
I think there is. I just think it sucks that the rivalries are getting pushed away. I think what I grew up on is watching these conferences have, what I hate seeing is that now, are there really guys that can call their home their home?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, where is your allegiance when it's all said and done if you end up at 4 different colleges in your career? Who's your, like, which school are you alum of? Like, I think that part of the innocence of what I grew up in it being has been lost. I still think there's an opportunity with hopefully guys still taking advantage of getting their degrees. And then it's still a stepping stone to what's next. I don't think that's lost. But I would love to see more young men and women fight through some adversity and stay at places to get themselves to where they're trying to get to. Because I hate to see them have an opportunity to take advantage of a vehicle that can get them the degree, which will always be there for them, and seeing that a lot of them are not, and they're going to be working in places that they're really not comfortable working and making a living from because they've let opportunity slip through their hands.
Right. I'm surprised you're not excited about the USC Rutgers rivalry that's going to be starting. I mean, that's what basketball fans are wanting.
You know what I probably hate more about it? Like, at the high level, it's still great to watch those games. What's sad is that you take Maryland's field hockey team, women's field hockey, for them to have to travel to USC and UCLA. We're saying that college is supposed to be this. I mean, they're taking a week away from their education just to play.
Yeah.
Fly commercial, not charter, like the bigger programs in their schools are. I don't know. I guess I'm hitting the old man part of me now.
Yeah, and they're going to be exhausted for the game, for academics, the recovery. I mean, there was an article about one of those teams, either East Coast or West. I think it was West Coast. I think it was maybe UCLA or USC, and just the miles they accrued. And the coach had to figure out a recovery. Like, we can't practice today. We just traveled, for 17 hours. We have to take the day off when normally, if we were playing in the same time zone, we'd be doing a walkthrough today or going over some skill work.
I just think it's taking away a lot of opportunity for people to continue to get better. As they say, you can't be in the gym if you're stuck in recovery and training room for 3 out of 5 days, of the 5 work days a week. You're pretty much playing on weekends. Like, how are you getting better as a player if more of your time is spent traveling than being in the gym?
I hear you. Let me ask you this. What's college basketball going to look like in 5 years?
The NBA's farm system.
Well, it's already that. I mean, will you see better players sticking around longer for the paydays, like we've kind of seen with big men now?
Well, I think what you're seeing is we have some people who've been smart about how they've handled the situation. Like, people are doing their homework and figuring it out. Some people that we know personally have figured it out. They're getting a couple degrees out of it. They're getting more money than they would get paid going overseas. I mean, I think at some point we're going to see a cap get put on this, so that could change it. I mean, this landscape, I don't think we know all of what it is yet. It's still ongoing and something that we're learning, but I think we have to do a better job of learning it, if that makes sense. Like, you got to be ready it's no different than basketball. Basketball's changed with the time. We've gone from the two big men in the post to now we want to play 5 out. We want everybody to shoot threes, and we want to take more threes than twos because we think that's the way to win. I mean, there's so many different things that are changing. If we aren't educating ourselves with the change, then we're doing ourselves a disjustice.
Yeah, I love it. Last question. In 5 years, if everything goes exactly the way you'd like it to go, what does Steve Turner's life look like at Montverde?
It's never been about chasing. I mean, it's always been about chasing championships. That's just a part of what comes with the job. But that hasn't always been the number one thing. That Steve Turner moved to a new place, has continued to impact lives, and given young men an opportunity to use a platform to chase their dreams. It hasn't changed. I'm a server at heart. It's never been about me having the crown on my head as the head coach. I'm always going to be a guy that's about uplifting others, and that's what I'm here to do. In that, yeah, I'm building teams to go be the best team in the country and beat up on the best teams in the country. And certainly let our guys have opportunity to showcase themselves so that we can continue to have them taking advantage of getting a free education and pushing basketball as far as it can take them to potentially take care of themselves and their families.
I love it. Is there anything you want to mention that we didn't cover?
I don't think so, but I'm always happy to be on here with you. I'm blessed to have you as a friend and someone who I call family. I love the platform that you've built to allow young men to have an opportunity to be helped by someone who cares about them and putting them in places that are right for them to chase their dreams. I think, Corey, when we first met, I felt it from the time you came in my office and you interviewed. There was a connection there, and there continues to be that connection because I believe that both of us are people who are about helping others. And that's something that means more to me than anything. It's greater for me than any championship that I've ever won. I like to know that I got a lot of walking trophies around, and the best trophy I get is when those kids take advantage of using that little brown or orange pill, whatever color the ball is and what league it's in, um, to get the ultimate piece, and that's going to get their degree. And when those guys get to put that graduation cap and gown on from their college, I'm more prouder about that than any championship I could win in any league or any national championship I could ever go after.
Yeah, and I just want to say right back at you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. 2011 to 2013, when I was a newbie to DC and didn't know jack, didn't know how a Nike Elite team worked or who this Chris Jenkins guy or Nate Britt or all these other guys were. And I remember at my previous high school, I used to, bang with the big guys. I didn't at Gonzaga because they were all better than I was at that time. So I was like, just going to tell you Coach Corey's stories, not play against you guys. And yeah, so it's a great opportunity that's helped catapult this to where it is now with, your guidance and connections I made while at Gonzaga. So I appreciate that. And just another thing too, you sent your own son, Christian, who's working with you now at Montverde, to a prep school in New England. So you went through the same process families are going through now and talking to me about. So tell me real quick, kind of how prep school benefited Christian.
Allowed him to grow as a young man in his own space, without mom and pops right on top of you every single day. It's funny because his dream is to be able to go back and be a head coach at a place like that. Like it's something
Cool.
that it, it instilled discipline in him. It allowed him to grow a little quicker, having to be on his own a little bit and manage his time and understanding, you know, what it was like to be on his own a little bit early. I mean, we're still there and able to support and help from afar, but it allowed for my son to grow and become a man uh, in the ways that I'm very, very proud of. Seeing him navigate through some tough times. He had to fall down a few times and get back up. And now seeing where he is today, I wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah, and I'm glad that himself and I and his mom were able to work together and be able to make sure that he was in the right space and in the right place. And I think that's the part that sometimes gets missed is that, I mean, you know, my oldest son, Christian, his mom and I never married, but we worked together as parents. We parented together to make sure for our child it was the best thing. And I hope and would want that for anyone who's in that situation where parents aren't together, how you can work together for what's the most important thing, and that's your child. And so I wish that for any and all. And again, that space at Proctor for how it helped him grow, man, couldn't put a price tag on that. And the man that I see today, a part of that is not just mine or his mom's doing. It's that institution's doing. They helped him grow in ways that I think a lot of prep schools can help young men and women grow. So I think it's an option that people should definitely take a look at. And I'm not going to say it's for everybody because even Montverde's not for everybody. But there are places that are there for your kids to learn and grow. You just got to do your homework and talk to the right people.
Absolutely. And if people are interested in either the national team at Montverde or the CBD program there, what's the best way for them to get more information?
Shoot an email to myself, steve.turner@montverde.org, or to our head of the CBD program, Austin Kelly, and that's austin.kelly@montverde.org. Reach out, call us, email us. We'll definitely get back to you. There's a lot of opportunity here to help your young men get to places that they want to get to, and an ability to have people who can help them grow in this game of basketball.
I love it. Steve, thanks so much for coming back on. I'm excited about following you and your journey down in Florida at Montverde Academy, and we're going to be following your progress. And if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. But you're welcome back anytime on the podcast, and good luck this season.
Man, thank you. And likewise, if you need anything from me, you know all you got to do is give me a holler.
All right. Thanks for joining this week's episode of the Prep Athletics Podcast. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Take care.